In this session, we'll discuss about SQL injection. SQL injection is a type of an injection attack that makes it possible to execute malicious SQL statements. These statements control a database server behind a web application. Attackers can use SQL injection vulnerabilities to bypass application security measures. They can go around authentication and authorization of a web page or web application and retrieve the content of the entire SQL database. They can also use SQL injection to add, modify, and delete records in the database. An SQL injection vulnerability may affect any website or web application that uses an SQL database such as MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, or others. Criminals may use it to gain unauthorized access to your sensitive data, customer information, personal data, trade secret, intellectual property, and many more. SQL injection attacks are one of the oldest, most prevalent, and most dangerous type of web application attack. The OWASP organization, which full form is Open Web Application Security Project, lists injection in their OWASP Top 10 2017 document as the number one threat to web application security. Now I am discussing how and why is an SQL injection attack performed. To make an SQL injection attack, an attacker must first find vulnerable user inputs within the web page or web application. A web page or web application that has an SQL injection vulnerability uses such user input directly in an SQL query. The attacker can create input content. Such content is often called a malicious payload and is the key part of the attack. After the attacker sends this content, malicious SQL commands are executed in the database. SQL is a query language that was designed to manage data stored in relational database. You can use it to access, modify, and delete data. Many web applications and websites store all the data in SQL database. In some cases, you can also use SQL commands to run operating system commands. Therefore, a successful SQL injection attack can have very serious consequences. Attackers can use SQL injections to find the credential of other users in the database. They can then impersonate these users. The impersonated user may be a database administrator with all database privileges. SQL lets you select and output data from the database. An SQL injection vulnerability could allow the attacker to gain complete access to all data in a database server. SQL also lets you alter data in a database and add new data. For example, in a financial application, an attacker could use SQL injection to alter balance, void transactions, or transfer money to their account. You can use SQL to delete records from a database, even drop tables, even if application availability until the database is restored. Also, backups may not cover the most recent data. In some databases servers, you can access the operating system using the database server. This may be intentional or accidental. In such case, an attacker could use an SQL injection as the initial vector and then attack the internal network behind a firewall. There are several types of SQL injection attack are available like SQLi using database error or union command, blind SQL injection, authentication bypass. So I will show you some of the SQL injection attack and starting from the bypass authentication. Now in this part, first we will discuss about authentication bypass using SQL injection. First we will discuss about some SQL query. So to run SQL query, we'll use a operating system Metasploitable 2, where some web application are hosted which use some SQL database. So first I am showing you some SQL query which related to SQL injection attack, mainly authentication bypass attack, using that particular operating system Metasploitable 2. So now open the Metasploitable 2. It's a Linux operating system. Metasploitable login user ID is MSF admin and password is also MSF admin. So to run SQL query, first we need to go to the SQL prompt. So to go to MySQL prompt, we need to use the command MySQL, then -u specify the username, that is root, and -p is for password. So it asking for the password and there is no password actually. So just hit an enter. So now I am inside the MySQL prompt. So now to see all the available databases, we need to use the command show databases. And then to terminate the query, use semicolon. So few databases are available here like DVWA, Metasploit, MySQL, OW, ASP10, all these. So now suppose we want to check a particular database, suppose OWASP10. So first we need to use that particular database. So to use a particular database, we need to use the command use then database name OWASP10, then semicolon. So database changed. Now to check all the available table inside this database, we need to use the command show tables. So all these tables are available: accounts, blocks underscore table, captured underscore data, credit underscore cards, hit log, then pain underscore test underscore tools. Further, to check a particular table, we can use the select command. To select all the row inside a particular table, we can use the command select star from table name. So suppose now we want to check the table accounts. So select star from account. Now see, we got all the row inside the table accounts. Now suppose we want the result for a particular username and password. So we can use the command select star from accounts where username is equals to suppose test and password is equals to suppose 12345, then use the semicolon. So this is an empty set. Why? Because no valid credential is there, so that's why this is an empty set. So there is no username test and password 12345, so that's why we got an empty set. Now suppose further you want to select that particular row where username is admin and password is admin pass. So use the command select star from accounts where username is equals to admin and password is equals to admin pass. So there is an entry with this particular username and password, so we got the result. So that's why it returned valid entry from the database. Now suppose we don't have any idea about the username and password. So how can we find out some result without knowing the username and password? So suppose we use the command select star from the table name accounts where username is equals to any. So I think there is no such username, and use OR operation 1 equals to 1. So here 1 equals to 1 is always true, and we add two condition username equals to any or 1 equals to 1 by using the OR operator. So 1 equals to 1 is always true. So the condition is always true. So that's why it gives us all the result from the table accounts. See, this is an malicious query. It returned all the entry from that particular table accounts. Now I'm showing you another query. Select star from table name accounts where username is equals to any or 1 equals to 1 semicolon, then use hash and password equals to 123456, then semicolon. See, it will also gives us all the result. So basically hash is used to terminate the query. So where we use the has, after that nothing is executed. So in this query, it only execute select star from accounts where username equals to any or 1 equals to 1. So we use this concept further from a web application form where we need to keep some valid credential. Now we can also limit our result by using limit select star from accounts where username equals to any or 1 equals to 1 limit 1. See, it limit the result in one entry. So if you use limit 2, then it will limit the result in 2 entry. So this way we can also restrict our result with the number of entry. Now we use this concept in a particular web application form to bypass the authentication. Now open our test web application testphp.vulnweb.com. Now go to sign up and it asking for username and password. So put the username any, then code or 1 equals to 1, then double dash space. That will also terminate the query. Put the same thing in the password field also. Any code space or 1 equals to 1 space double dash space. Then hit enter. And see, successfully we are able to log in inside the account. So this way we can bypass the authentication in a particular web application and we can penetrate inside the web application. Further, we will show you how to use the error-based SQL injection. Thank you.